Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. If you have been following the case styled as State of Idaho versus Brian C. Kohberger, you know that Detective Brett Payne of the Moscow Police Department is a central figure in the case against Mr. Kohberger. Detective Payne, after all, wrote and signed under penalty of perjury the December 29th, 2022 Affidavit of Probable Cause, which is item number 1 on the public docket. It is also referenced in the criminal complaint and the probable cause order, all directly leading to the issuance of the arrest warrant signed by Magistrate Judge Megan E. on December 29th, 2022. Mr. Kohberger was thereafter arrested in the very early morning hours of December 30th, 2022, across the country from Moscow, Idaho, in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, which is in Monroe County, PA. The arrest warrant was supported by another affidavit of probable cause, this time signed by 2 Pennsylvania state police officers who were relying on the arrest warrant and the other information coming out of Idaho that Mr. Kohberger should be arrested in Pennsylvania. And moreover, Detective Payne's affidavit was referenced in the Pennsylvania affidavit leading to that warrant, and it was attached to it, and it contains a lot more details regarding Mr. Kohberger than appears in the PCA, the probable cause affidavit in Idaho. And if you have not yet had an opportunity to review the Pennsylvania documents and the matter styled as Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Kohberger, which was opened to effectuate Mr. Kohberger's arrest in Pennsylvania and extradite him back to Idaho, I recommend that you do. There's a lot of information in there. It was a few months after Mr. Kohberger's arrest, after he was extradited, and he willingly went. He didn't fight extradition across the country to Idaho, that on May 12th, 2023, the state of Idaho disclosed the fact that Detective Payne spoke with Mr. Kohberger. I'm referring to the state's response to defendant's motion to compel discovery. It is filed May 12th, 2023. It is signed by William Thompson, who is the Latah County lead prosecutor in the case against Mr. Kohberger. Now, what is a motion to compel discovery? Well, the discovery process is one where a defendant believes that the government has information, documents, photographs, interviews, video, and other material in its possession that is important to the criminal defendant's defense of the cases and the charges that have been brought against him or her. And here we know that there are 5 very serious first-degree felonies that were brought against Mr. Kohberger in the criminal complaint and also in the May 2023 indictment, which is the operating and the operative paper that is leading toward trial in this case in this summer of 2025. Now, after a party serves discovery on the government, as Mr. Kohberger has, the other side may raise objections, may say you're not entitled to this documentation, it's irrelevant, it's covered by some type of privilege, we're not going to turn it over. And if there is no agreement thereafter, The party initiating who's filed the discovery will then typically file a motion to compel. What is a motion? A motion is an application for a court order. And a motion to compel discovery is one where, in this case, Mr. Kohberger was asking the judge to enter an order compelling, ordering, directing the state to turn over the materials that was requested in discovery. Going back to May 2023, response by the state of Idaho to the defendant's motion to compel discovery, if you go to a section that appears in this document, you have to go to page number 3, and you will see here, item number 3 in the middle of the page. The state has provided recordings of MPD, that is Moscow Police Department Detective Payne's interview with Mr. Kohberger to the defense. The state will provide any related reports and or notes as they are received and reviewed. So what this tells us is that the state has, at least at the time of the filing of this motion to compel, turned over recordings, plural, of Detective Payne's interview with Mr. Kohberger to the defense. It appears that this was asked for in the discovery of this matter, and then perhaps in a supplemental discovery response or request, the defense then asked for further information such as related reports and or notes as they are received and reviewed. So at this point, the state, again, is telling the world that the state has provided recordings of Detective Payne's interview with Mr. Kohberger to the defense. Now, there was nothing stated in the December 29th, 2022 Affidavit of Probable Cause. And in my opinion, which I give pursuant to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, I would, at least in my opinion, think that if Detective Payne spoke with Mr. Kohberger, had an interview with him pre-arrest, that would be important information to note in the Affidavit of Probable Cause. Perhaps it occurred pre-arrest, and for whatever reason, it was not included in the Affidavit of Probable Cause. But again, in my opinion, I think that this would have been critical information to be told to the magistrate judge that the person who signed the Affidavit of Probable Cause seeking the arrest warrant for Mr. Kohberger would disclose to the judge an interview that he had with the person he's seeking the arrest warrant for these heinous crimes. So there's a possibility that this interview might have happened after the time that Mr. Kohberger was arrested in Pennsylvania, possibly en route to the Monroe County Jail where he was booked. Perhaps at the jail. We just don't know these details. They have not been released as of yet. What we can confirm, pinpointed to the record, that there was an interview between Detective Payne and Mr. Kohberger. We just, as the public, don't know for a certainty when it happened, where it happened, if anyone else was present, and what was discussed. I'd like to hear your comments regarding this matter. Your input is very much appreciated. This will now conclude this episode of the Indie Zone. Thank you very much for joining us here today.